He is an author who grew up here in San Antonio, and he has a unique perspective to share, which he is doing through a brand new book. Simran Jeet Singh is the executive director for the Aspen Institute's Religion and Society program and author of that new book, The Light We Give: How Sikh Wisdom Can Transform Your Life. Simran, thanks for being back here on the Q&A. We had you on quite a while ago when you wrote your children's book, but let's talk about this new adventure for you. What is this new book all about? Because in the title, Wisdom That Can Transform Your Life, that's something that's going to grab a lot of people's attention.
Yeah, well, the book is really, in many ways, it's a memoir. It's a reflection on my own experiences growing up in San Antonio and looking very different from a lot of the people who are around me, with my turban and my beard and my brown skin, and dealing with racism as part of our everyday experience. And this was very much what life was about growing up in San Antonio. But also, I would want to say that even with the challenges we faced, we were able to find happiness and joy and comfort. And part of that is a testament to what San Antonio really is. And part of that is a testament to the philosophy that I embraced that's brought forward by Sikh teachings. And some of that philosophy, I think, it's given me calm and peace in a world that's constantly feeling difficult and chaotic. And so it's these teachings that have really helped me that I want to share with other people in ways that might help their lives.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I feel like that turmoil and just the weight of news, of headlines, of the reality of the world we're living in, everybody feels that in some way. So if somebody is not familiar with the Sikh religion, but this is your experience growing up in San Antonio, as you said, looking different from a lot of other people, how can anyone relate to what's in this book?
Well, I think, growing up, I had all sorts of experiences with racism. People would make assumptions about me, especially after 9/11. I was a senior in high school at O'Connor High School when 9/11 happened, and the racism really sharpened. And I had to figure out how to make sense of other people's assumptions about me in ways that didn't really feel true, in ways that were different from how I saw myself. And to bridge that gap and to really have confidence in who I was, I had to figure out what is my true understanding of the world, and how do I find the light within myself and in the people around me. And so I didn't have an option, I don't think. I guess the only other option that we have in this country right now is to feel angry and bitter and frustrated, which so many of us do all the time. And some of the basic teachings that Sikh wisdom have to offer us, like how do you fight hate with love? Or how do you really love your neighbor, even when your neighbor doesn't love you? These are some of the experiences that I grew up learning just by my lived experience in San Antonio. And I think those are the kinds of questions all of us are asking ourselves today.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think now was the time for you to write this?
Well, I've been wanting to write this book for a long time, but I think it feels especially timely given where we are as a society. I've had so many people already, the book has been out for 3 days, and so many people have been coming up to me and saying, this is the peace that I need in a world that just feels like it's constantly hitting us over the head with bad news. And, for me, at least, I felt the same way, that for years now, every day I wake up and think, okay, now things will change. Now the world will get easier. Now all the difficulties will slow down, and they just haven't. It's felt incessant, and it feels like a lot of pressure. And I think something that we all need to figure out is, how do we have calm while we're in the storm? Because the world will continue to be hard, and each of us will continue to face our challenges. And so developing practices and ways of viewing ourselves and one another so that we don't always feel so negative and hopeless, I think that's what we need in this moment right now. And that's what I'm trying to offer through this book.
It sounds like I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it sounds like there are a lot of big topics that you address in this book, and trying to help people navigate what is a really weighty time in the world. You went from writing a children's book to this. So that sounds like an interesting transition, or was it easier than someone may guess?
Well, what's interesting, and I could say a few different things about this, but what's really interesting is that some of the greatest and most profound wisdom is actually really simple. Mm-hmm. Some of the teachings that I've learned and that I try to practice, these are not new ideas. I mean, they might be new in terms of a shift in perspective, but some of the ideas here are things we already know in our hearts, and we're just not sure how to put them into practice, right? How do we really see one another with the dignity we all share? The title of this book is The Light We Give, and there's a metaphor of light in here. And many of our spiritual traditions teach us that we all are filled with the same light. I mean, kids can understand that. My young daughters understand that. And so taking the most simple ideas, as we do in children's literature, as we do when we're kids, and learning how to apply them in our lives so that we are constantly feeling proud of how we're behaving in this world. I think that's really, it's really subtle, it's really simple, but it's a profound shift from how we behave on a day-to-day basis. And so I think there's a really nice connection there in terms of how we can learn to be.
We were just showing the image of your children's book, Singh Keeps Going. And, I'm standing here nodding, thinking about the books I read my kids at night and some of those simple messages that I think, I wish more adults read this book, right? I wish more adults were getting this message. Before we let you go, let's talk about where people can get this new book, The Light We Give.
The book is from Penguin Random House, so it's available everywhere books are sold. In San Antonio, the Twig, Nowhere Bookshop, the independent stores, go for those if you can. But truly, if anybody who's willing to look into it and get a copy and read it or listen to it, I'd be grateful, and I really hope that it is helping you find happiness in your own life.
Simran Jeet Singh, author, someone from right here in San Antonio. The Light We Give, it is out now. Thank you so much for sharing some time with us here today.
Thank you for having me.